Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at visual search and how it's changing e-commerce,
Yeah.
especially on mobile. So we've got some really cool excerpts here.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of this, you're going to have a really good grasp on how visual search is really changing the way we shop online.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not just about finding products,
Right.
It's about a whole new way to discover and experience them.
For sure, for sure. So let's just start with the basics, I guess. What exactly is visual search?
Okay, so basically, visual search lets you shop using pictures instead of words. So let's say you see a cool pair of shoes on Instagram.
Yeah.
But you have no idea where to buy them, right?
Right.
So you take a picture of them.
Okay.
And then visual search tools like Google Lens, Pinterest Lens, Amazon, Style Snap, they do all the work for you.
So it's like having a personal shopper
Exactly.
who can figure out what's in my blurry iPhone photo.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome.
It uses AI and machine learning and image recognition
Wow.
to analyze what's in that picture and find matching or visually similar products.
Okay, so that's super cool, but why is that better than just typing in a description?
Well, think about trying to describe
Yeah.
the exact shade of green in a vintage dress.
Yeah.
Or a really complex pattern on a designer bag.
Right?
It's almost impossible
so hard.
to put into words.
Yeah.
Visual search, you just skip all that frustration.
Totally. And who wants to type on their little phone keyboard anyway?
Exactly.
So much easier just to take a picture. But in terms of speed and accuracy, how does it actually stack up against just typing in a description?
Okay, so our sources are saying that visual search has a 95% success rate of finding a specific item within 5 seconds.
Wow.
Text search, 75%.
Okay.
And it takes 30 seconds on average.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a huge difference.
Huge difference, yeah.
And I mean, for businesses too, that's
Oh, yeah.
a huge,
For sure.
if people want that quick, easy experience.
Absolutely.
And you're not giving it to them with visual search, then you're kind of missing out.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's not just about convenience, then it's also about, businesses adapting to the way people actually shop now.
Exactly, yeah.
That's cool. And I think it's really interesting too how it's not even just about finding the exact thing you're looking for.
Right.
It's about discovering things that you didn't even know you wanted.
Yes, exactly. Imagine you're searching for a blue sofa, right?
Uh-huh.
But then visual search suggests a similar one.
Okay.
But it's in this velvet fabric that you'd never even thought of before. So it opens up all the new possibilities.
That's lovely.
And helps you find all these hidden gems you might have missed.
Right. So you're not even just looking for a product. You're looking for something that fits your vibe.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So is it possible for visual search to take into account your personal preferences?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay.
AI can actually tailor your search results based on your past searches and your browsing history.
Oh, wow.
And even images you've uploaded yourself.
So the more you use it, the
Yeah.
more it becomes your own personal stylist.
Totally. And that personalization, it goes beyond just your own preferences too.
Right.
Businesses can use it to figure out trends and, predict what people want to buy and even create these super targeted marketing campaigns.
Yeah, that's wild. So we've talked about how it benefits the shopper, the user. But what about e-commerce as a whole?
Yeah.
Are businesses actually seeing tangible results?
Oh, yeah. The numbers are definitely there.
Okay.
One study found that visual search is driving 6.4% of all e-commerce revenue right now.
Wow.
So if businesses aren't using visual search, they're probably missing out on a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to leave on the table.
Yeah, for sure.
But how does it actually lead to more revenue?
Well, it all comes down to, a better user experience.
Okay.
So if you can find what you want easily,
Uh-huh.
you're more likely to buy it, right?
Right.
Visual search cuts down on browsing time.
Right.
Makes finding products a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And it helps people decide what to buy faster.
Right. So it's just a more streamlined experience leads to more sales.
Exactly.
Happy customers buy more stuff.
Exactly. And also when people can find what they want easily,
Yeah.
they're less likely to just get frustrated and leave the website.
Right. Less bounce rate.
Totally.
So that's cool. I mean, we've been talking a lot about fashion here.
Yeah.
But are there other industries that are using visual search?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool.
It's being used in DIY and home improvement, beauty and cosmetics, technology, electronics, even the world of collectibles and rare items.
That's cool. I'm picturing I see some cool antique in a window. I take a picture and it tells me everything about it and where to buy it online.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, it seems visual search is not just a trend.
Right.
It's a fundamental shift in how we shop.
Yeah, and as the technology keeps evolving,
Yeah.
we can expect it to become even more influential.
For sure. So let's move on and talk about that evolution.
Okay.
In part 2 of this deep dive, we're going to be looking at, how visual search is going to affect how we interact with, like, the whole world around us.
Cool.
So stay tuned for that. Welcome back. We've been talking about how visual search is, changing e-commerce.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about, like, what impact it's going to have beyond just, like, shopping online.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think we've been focusing mainly on retail,
Right.
but visual search, it can do so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's really about like bridging the gap between the physical world and the digital world,
Okay.
Letting us interact with everything around us in a totally new way.
Okay. I like where this is going. Like, what are we talking about here?
Okay, so imagine you're walking through a museum.
Okay.
And you see a painting that you really want to learn more about.
Yeah.
So instead of like, trying to find the little description
Right.
or like waiting for a tour guide,
Yeah.
you can just take a picture of it with Google Lens
Uh-huh.
and boom, you've got all this information about the artist,
Wow.
the history behind the painting, you get like different interpretation of the artwork.
So it's like having a personal art historian in my pocket.
Exactly. And it's not just museums either.
Yeah.
You can use it to identify plants and animals outside, translate science in real time.
Wow.
Even get like nutrition facts about your food just by taking a picture of your plate.
Wow, that's awesome. So we're really talking about, like, visual search helping us understand the world around us on, like, a deeper level.
Yeah, I think so.
That's really cool. And it's not just about accessing information either, right?
Right.
It's about making things more fun and more engaging.
Exactly, yeah.
Like more immersive.
Yeah, like imagine you're traveling
Wow.
and instead of just like reading about a landmark,
Yeah.
you can use visual search to actually experience it,
Mm.
in a more interactive way.
Okay, so like I point my phone at the Eiffel Tower
Yeah.
and I can see like historical photos and videos.
Yes.
Right? Maybe even like stories from people who have been there.
Yeah, totally.
That's really cool. So it's like adding a whole other dimension to travel.
For sure.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about businesses for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about all the cool things visual search can do for like the shopper,
Right.
but how are businesses like adapting to all of this?
Well, I think to really succeed in this new visual world,
Yeah.
companies need to do more than just like use the technology. They need to like optimize their whole online presence, to make it work for visual search.
Okay, so what does that actually look like?
Well, first of all,
Yeah.
the product photos have to be really high quality.
Okay,
If people are searching with pictures,
Right.
your pictures have to be amazing.
makes sense.
They have to show every little detail in the
Yeah.
best possible way.
It's like a picture is worth 1,000 words, but in this case,
Yeah.
it's worth 1,000 clicks
Exactly.
or 1,000 sales.
For sure.
Right.
But it's not just about like how pretty the pictures are.
Okay,
You have to like tag them with the right keywords
Right.
so that visual search engines can actually find them.
okay, so it's kind of like you have to speak the language of AI,
Wait.
make sure that the algorithms can understand what they're looking at.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some like common mistakes that companies make when it comes to visual search?
Well, I think one of the biggest mistakes is just like not taking it seriously enough.
Okay.
Some businesses think it's just a fad,
Mm-hmm.
or they think they can like just kind of dip their toes in
Right.
without really but like we've been saying,
Right.
it's not a trend.
Yeah.
It's like a fundamental shift
Right.
in how people are using the internet.
So if you don't keep up,
Yeah.
you're going to get left behind.
Exactly. And another mistake is focusing too much on the technology
Okay.
and not enough on like the user experience.
So it's not enough to just have like the coolest visual search engine.
Right.
You have to make it easy for people to use,
Yeah.
and it has to like actually add value.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges. What about the cool stuff?
Okay.
What are some like innovative ways that businesses are using visual search?
Well, one of the most exciting things is augmented reality.
Oh yeah, AR?
Yeah, so companies are using AR to create these like really immersive shopping experiences where you can like virtually try on clothes or see how furniture would look in your house or even like test out different makeup shades.
So it's like glide before you buy, but like on a whole other level?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And it helps people feel more confident
Yeah.
about buying things online.
Right, because they can actually see what it would look like.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not even just about finding products anymore.
Right.
It's about creating this whole experience.
Exactly.
And visual search, it plays a huge role in that personalization.
Okay.
Like imagine you could upload a picture of your closet to a fashion app,
Uh-huh.
and then the app could use visual search
Okay.
to like analyze your style
Wow.
and recommend clothes that would look good on you.
So it's like having a personal stylist, but like without the price tag?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that kind of personalization, it can really make people loyal to a brand.
Okay.
It builds a stronger connection.
Right. So it's not just about finding products. It's about building relationships.
Yeah.
That's cool. So visual search is about connecting with things on like a deeper level.
I think so.
As technology gets even better,
Yeah.
we can expect to see even more creative uses of visual search.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's exciting. I mean, we've only just scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
But before we move on to the future of visual search in the next part,
Okay.
I want to hear from you, our listeners. What's been the most surprising thing you've learned about visual search so far?
Yeah.
What are you curious about? We'll be back in a sec to wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
So stay tuned. All right, so we're back.
For more visual search.
Yes, exactly. We've talked about, e-commerce. We've talked about bridging that gap between the physical and digital world. And now I think it's time to look ahead.
Yeah, to the future.
What's the future of visual search?
Oh, man. The possibilities are kind of mind-blowing.
I know. I'm excited.
I mean, AI is really powering this whole thing, and it's just getting smarter and smarter all the time.
Yeah, so I imagine we can expect, even more personalized experiences, even faster search results.
Oh, yeah.
Even more accurate, image recognition.
For sure. For sure.
And probably a whole lot more.
Yeah, and I think it goes way beyond just, like making things a little bit better.
Okay.
Imagine a world where like visual search is just like built into our lives.
Uh-huh.
We could use it to identify like any plant or animal we see.
Right, in our backyard.
Yeah, exactly. Or like get nutritional info about our food, just like that. Or even like translate signs when we're traveling.
Like instantly.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's like we'd all have superpower.
It really is.
Right there in our pockets.
I love that. And we're already seeing this happen, right?
We are, yeah, like in healthcare.
Okay.
Doctors are using AI visual search tools to look at medical images.
Yeah.
And it helps them diagnose diseases way more accurately and efficiently.
That's incredible. I mean, that's a great example of how technology is really being used to like solve these big problems and like help people.
Yeah, absolutely. And these advances, they're just going to keep coming.
Right.
Think about like education.
Okay.
Imagine a student stuck on a math problem.
Yeah.
They take a picture of it.
Okay. Visual search like shows them step by step how to solve it.
Wow.
And it's tailored to like their specific way of learning.
So personalized.
Totally personalized. Yeah, it could revolutionize the way we learn.
Yeah, and make education more accessible to like everyone.
Exactly.
Wow. It feels like the sky's the limit.
It really does, yeah.
With visual search, I mean, we've talked about, it being used for, shopping and travel and education and healthcare.
Yeah.
What else can it do?
Who knows? I mean, it could help us make better decisions about all sorts of things, the products we buy, the places we go,
right?
Even like how we interact with the environment.
Wow. Okay. So visual search has the potential to like really reshape our world.
I think so. Yeah. In a lot of different ways.
But with all this potential, I mean, is there anything we should be like cautious about?
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to think about the downsides of any new technology.
For sure.
One thing I'm thinking about is, how it might affect traditional search methods.
Okay.
Like if we're using visual search all the time, are we going to forget how to like describe things with words?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I guess it's all about balance, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want to lose those language skills.
Right.
And we have to make sure that these visual search tools are like
Yeah.
developed responsibly. Companies need to be open about how they're using our data. And they have to prioritize privacy,
Yeah, sure.
All those things are really important.
Yeah, it seems like visual search really has the power to, change the world.
For sure.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
That's a really good takeaway. I mean, visual search isn't just some cool new technology.
Right.
It's a sign of like how our relationship with information and with the world around us is changing. It's about like seeing and understanding and connecting with everything in a more like natural and meaningful way.
It's all about exploration and discovery.
Love that.
And it's only just beginning.
Yeah, so excited. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of visual search.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I hope you've learned some new things and that you're as excited about the future of visual search as we are.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those cameras clicking.
And as always, happy learning.